welcome to Good Grief, the podcast dedicated to demystifying and destigmatizing grief, compassion, and humor. I'm Nikki. I'm an end-of-life doula and a grief coach in Columbus, Ohio. And today I have a special guest episode, which you're going to see a lot of those this season because I have a ton of guests lined up. I was featured in a podcast guesting newsletter, and I had a ton of interest, and I went through and found some of stories that I think are going to be amazing for all of you to hear. So I've got guests lined up forever. So we're good to go for a minute, but I'm very excited about this one. I have on my show today Jeff Pearson from the Invisible Condition TV show. Jeff and I were connected through another podcaster, and I got to chat with him one-on-one, and he was just a lovely human being. I love his show. I love what he does. And I got to be a guest on his show, which aired, I believe, just prior to when this is airing. So, and he references mine coming up, which it will have already passed by this point. But you can go to their YouTube channel and see it. And so it is available, even though if you didn't get to catch it, live. So thank you so much, Jeff, for having me on your show. But I was very excited to hear Jeff's story on this show because Jeff has had a unique journey through some medical conditions. And again, that's kind of the crux of his show, which he'll get into that. But I have such a heart space for chronic conditions and people facing their grief in those situations, because it's another one of those disenfranchised griefs that we just don't talk about as much. So people don't understand they're grieving when they're going through these things sometimes. So that's all for Jeff to share here in just a moment. Before we get into that, as always, if you want to support this show, please go over to patreon.com/Nikki the Death Doula. You get access a week early to the episodes. You get grief affirmations and other bonus content throughout the month right in your inbox. From me, Nikki the Death Doula. And you can find me at nikkithedeathdoula.com/podcast, where you can find merch for this show as well, like this awesome t-shirt right behind me. So it comes in different colors. I just like green, obviously. So anyway, that's all. I'm going to stop talking so we can get right on to today's episode with Jeff Pearson of Invisible Condition. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in this week. I'm excited to have another amazing guest episode with my new dear friend, Mr. Jeff Pearson. Jeff, how are you today?
Oh, groovy. I'm doing great. How are you?
We've both had interesting days so far. So
yeah, right.
We don't need to get into that. So I met Jeff through, did I meet you through a networking group? I don't even remember at this point.
I could look it up, but it would probably take too long.
We were introduced by...
I think it is. Probably.
We were introduced by someone. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Jeff has a super awesome show called Invisible Condition. So Jeff, why don't you tell my listeners a little bit about your show and a little bit about you, and we'll get into it from there.
Ooh, yeah. Bring it on. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate it. Yes. So my name is Jeff Pearson. I live in Colorado Springs, Colorado with my beautiful wife, Catherine, and our three amazing children. And I'm a business owner, author, speaker, TV host, nonprofit director. We've got a lot of hats around here. And the main two things that we are doing right now, three things, are speaking, running our nonprofit, and hosting my TV show. And so we'll dive into the TV show first because that's probably what we talked about the most. So my current TV show right now is called Invisible Condition. And the tagline is, "It's not all in your head," because what we talk about on that show is we have people on the show that are living and yet thriving, kicking butt and taking names, despite some sort of medical condition that is invisible from the outside. And by the way, everybody, Nikki is going to be a guest on my show. So watch out for that. In fact, I can tell you right now that her show will air on July 22nd. Ooh. So watch out for that on July 22nd at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 Pacific, noon Eastern. She'll be on the show. So we still need to record it, but that's when she'll be on the show.
Sounds great.
So anyway, so that's our show. We have people on that are just rocking it despite some sort of invisible medical condition, and then organizations and companies that are helping that population do better. And so we've been on the air since April 4th of 2023. So we've got about 5 seasons in right now. And yeah, we're loving it. It's good stuff.
That's awesome. I love that. And I love, 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 love the premise of your show. I've had some people on my show who have very similar experiences, who have either experienced something themselves or have cared for somebody, but the lifestyle, the grief, everything that goes around having some type of either medical condition, disability, whatever you want to call it, that is
Yeah.
not outwardly visible to the world. So you're not taken seriously, right? People don't if they can't see it, then it's not real to them. And just the
Right.
amount of crap that goes along with that. So you started this journey because of your own medical condition. Is this correct?
It's true. Yes. I was born with a condition called hydrocephalus, which is a big fancy word that's sometimes translated water on the brain.
Yeah.
The simple way of explaining it, a little anatomy lesson here, your brain is always producing something called cerebral spinal fluid.
Mhm.
Produces at about a quart a day. And cerebral spinal fluid is what cushions your brain against, just rattling around up there and hitting your skull all day. It's floating around in that fluid all the time. And that fluid has to go somewhere because your skull is only so big. And
Mm.
so what it does is it drains down the ventricles that are built into your brain, kind of like drain pipes, and that drains that fluid down your spinal column, lubricates that spinal column, reabsorbs into the body. It's a continuous process. That's how it's supposed to go.
Right.
Those of us with hydrocephalus, me in particular, I was born with it, and so and they found it at my 2-week checkup. So at my 2-week checkup, they did a CT scan because they did, at birth they do like the head measurement is one of the measurements they do right here. This
Yep.
head circumference measurement. And at the 2-week checkup, they did it again to make sure you're tracking and growing and whatever.
Yeah.
Well, they found it was a little bit too big. They're like, it's just fractionally outside the norm.
Yeah.
Let's get a CAT scan, mom and dad. Let's just see. It's probably nothing. Let's just see it, let's see what's going on. And they did, and they found out that there was a blockage in one of those ventricles that was not allowing fluid to drain. And so the common treatment in 1977, when I was born, is very much the same as it has been for the last 50, 60 years, same as what it is today. It's brain surgery. And so at 2 weeks old, I went under for my first brain surgery, and they
Ah,
drilled a hole in my skull back here and threaded a little tube in there into the ventricle to make sure that it could access that fluid, attached a shunt to that tube, which is right back here, and
mhm.
attached a tube to that shunt to drain that fluid and kind of reroute it somewhere else in the body to reabsorb.
Wow.
And so it's kind of an artificial ventricle was what they did. And so
Okay.
the trick is that's kind of what hydrocephalus is a fluid buildup around the brain that won't leave. The fluid won't leave.
Yeah.
So they have to put something in there to make it leave. And
Wow.
and so that's what the condition consists of. And it is ridiculously common. There are over 420,000 babies born with it every single year.
Really?
Every 15, yeah. I mean, one out of every 770 babies born in the United States is born with it. Every 15 minutes in this country, somebody's going under in some OR somewhere to get brain surgery to treat it. It's ridiculously common.
Wow.
So nobody talks about it though because it's
Yeah.
invisible. You
Yeah,
would never
I didn't
know.
know it was that common. I had no, I
Yeah.
knew what it was. I had heard of it before, but I had no idea it was as common as that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's crazy. And well, and the other thing is you can get it at any time of life. You're
Oh,
not always born with it. Yeah, not to scare anybody. Don't worry. You don't have to wear a helmet everywhere. But uh, anything that obstructs that flow of fluid, like maybe a tumor is developed, or maybe you get a good enough bump on the head, a bad enough concussion where the brain swells, or
yeah.
the something happens to obstruct that flow of cerebral spinal fluid can cause hydrocephalus. And so there's a couple prominent celebrities that have recently been diagnosed with this that have been in the news recently.
Mhm.
And I've been trying to track them down. So
Yeah.
if anybody knows Danny Bonaducci from Partridge Family, or Billy Joel is the most recent
Yeah.
one. Billy Joel was just
Yeah.
diagnosed with this. So if anybody knows him, I'd love to meet him. So
Send him Jeff's way for sure.
bring it on. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing all of that with me. So, that started at 2 weeks old, and
Mhm.
you're the same age as me. So you've been living with this for 47 years. First of all, how many brain surgeries have you had in your life? Because it's been
Seven.
7.
I've had about 15 surgeries. I've had 15 surgeries total to treat other things that the hydrocephalus has caused,
Oh my
like
gosh.
abdominal surgeries, eye surgeries, blah, 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 blah. But only 7 brain surgeries so far. So 3 in my childhood and 4 between 2014 and 2021.
Oh my, that's wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was just not that long ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Jeez.
yeah,
So
it's been an interesting time in the Pearson household the last 10, 12 years.
clearly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with all of this going on,
Mhm.
and like I said, and you said this is a very invisible condition. How have people in your life kind of responded to this? Are they supportive? Have they been scared, confused? Are people like, what? You're fine.
Right? What? There's nothing wrong with you.
You look
Yeah. No, it's
normal.
crazy. You would, right? Well, relatively normal. I mean, come on. Let's be real. We're all just relatively normal. Um, no,
Touche.
so yeah, my so my parents, I will thank till the day I die, I will thank my parents for bringing me up in a way that did not make me feel, sick or
Yeah.
different or anything. I mean, by the time I got to elementary school, I had already had 5 or 6 surgeries,
Yeah.
two brain surgeries and 1 eye surgery and a couple other surgeries beyond that. And like by the time I hit kindergarten, I was already a veteran of the ER, or in the operating room and stuff. And so, but the thing is, they never once treated me different. They never once said, "You're sick. You better not do this or that because you owe that thing in your head and you better live in a bubble," and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
They're like, "Go do your thing, man. You're healthy. Go play. Play with friends." Just they're like they were smart. Like they weren't stupid. They said, "Look, don't play football.
Right.
Don't play football. Don't play rugby. Don't play soccer. Don't
Sure.
deliberately bang your head against things. Um, so I did like tennis, and they're like, "Ooh, seventh grade came around. They said, how about band? Let's not play football. How about clarinet?
Move away from
Or choir.
sports.
Let's do
Something.
choir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was a band geek and a choir boy all through junior high and high school, which
Nice.
is nice because in seventh grade band class, I met my wife. So we knew each other for a good 10 years before
Seventh
we got
grade?
married at
That's
22 years
impressive.
old. So yeah, so I mean, I'm glad I was a band geek because otherwise I
Yeah.
wouldn't be, wouldn't have met her. So it was a pretty normal childhood, and people, because it's invisible and because by the grace of God I have made it out so uh unscathed, shall we say.
Hmm.
I mean, I've had some really wicked side effects over the last 10 years from some of the most recent surgeries, but really you would never know that I have this, and it's because of that
Yeah.
I'm able to do a lot of the things I can do. So
That's awesome. I love hearing good stories about how parents are treating their children with medical
yes.
and illnesses and things like that, because you hear so many horror stories. So,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
hats off to your parents for not putting you in a bubble and not,
Yeah.
making you feel like you are different than everybody else,
Right.
you
Exactly.
know?
Well, and I gotta give my dad a shout out. Today's his birthday, June 30th. Today's my dad's birthday. So happy birthday, Dad. I don't know if you'll ever see this,
Happy
but
birthday,
happy
Papa
birthday. I love you. I
Pearson.
can't wait to see you. But yeah, they live in Oregon. We live in Colorado, so I don't get to see him as
Oh,
often. But yeah, I'll call him later probably. But yeah, today's his birthday. They're rocking it. They're living their best life up in Oregon, hanging out with all the grandkids and all the little grandkids. Our kids are older, so but they want to hang out with the little ones. So, but anyway, yeah. So,
yeah. Oh, well, good. And I'm glad to hear it sounds like you still have a great relationship with
oh
them,
yeah, it's all
after all
good.
this time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, were there ever moments during all of this where you had that feeling of, I can't handle this. This sucks. I don't want to keep living this way. All of these surgeries. Was there ever that moment where you were just like, I can't?
I'm gonna Not in that way. No, I've never thought to myself, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out. I just no, never.
Well, I mean, there's also not
Um,
really a whole lot of option, right? It's you do this
I
or
mean, right. No, I think between the attitude my parents instilled in me and the fact that I've grown up that way and that I've uh, been married for 26 years, have three beautiful children, all the things like I've got so much to live for. I've got so much to do. There's so much left to do. And honestly, we're Christians in our household. We're Jesus followers. We're biblically based. I don't have any fear of anything because I know that if for some reason, all our days are numbered, right?
right.
Personally, my belief is that God's keeping track of that and he'll take you when he needs you, And so I have no fear because if I go under for another surgery someday, I'm not anticipating that, but if I ever do again, I either wake up and see my wife's beautiful smiling face looking at me, or I wake up and I look and I see God's face looking at me.
Yeah.
I'm good either way. So I have I have no hesitation, no fear. So
Oh,
it's all good.
I've so I get the honor of getting to meet people who are, at end of life.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
I'm just blown away by almost everybody I have worked with has had a similar mentality view. Like,
Yeah.
even the people that were a little bit younger and their lives were, cut short from their
Yeah.
illness were like, this is just how it's going to be. And to be able to have the grace to accept that, even if it's not exactly what you want. I mean, sure, we'd all love to live much longer and get to be around our families for whatever,
Right.
but to still have that grace to say, if this is how it's going to be, this is how it's going to be. And
Right.
it's always beautiful. And I want that for everybody. Not everybody's there, and that's okay. No shade to
Right.
anybody who's not, right?
Totally get it. Yeah.
But I love
Well, and
that.
it's not because I mean, like I said, I didn't get to, there are a lot of things I didn't get to do. I wouldn't trade what I've done or what I've been able to do for anything in the world.
Right.
I've also not been able to do certain things. And so there are like, I really wanted to be law enforcement at one point in my life. I thought it would
Wow.
be just amazing to
Yeah.
be law enforcement somewhere, county, state, city. I don't know. I even had this crazy wild-eyed idea that I might want to go to like FBI or something like that when I was a
Oh,
kid. But
wow.
I mean, I always thought it'd be so cool. I applied in 2013, in the summer of 2013, to be state patrol in Colorado, and I was like, they're like, okay, great, yeah, and they said, great, we're inviting you to our boot camp, whatever, let's get started, let's have that application process. And so they said, but if you don't run now, you better start because we're going to run you into the ground in like boot camp or whatever. So you
Yeah.
better start running. So I did. I got up at like 5 a.m. and went out and started running and sprinting and getting that heart rate up. And
Hmm.
and about 2 weeks into that, scar tissue from within my body I'm basically held together by scar tissue in here from previous surgeries,
Yeah.
and that scar tissue inflamed and got all angry and basically blocked my intestine and gave
Oh
me
my
what's
God.
called a bowel obstruction, and because of the inflammation of the scar tissue. And so I
Oh,
was in for emergency surgery like
oh
24
no.
hours later, and so I was like, okay, that's okay. So I won't. Okay, so I'm not going to be state patrol. Okay,
Right.
so I recovered from that surgery, and about 6 months later, applied for county sheriff department. And they said same thing. You better get going. And so I started training for that, and that was in 2014. And I ended up in the hospital for 2 back-to-back brain surgeries and 3 weeks in the
Oh
hospital
my God.
because of a bacterial infection they found in the cerebral spinal fluid. So I said, okay, 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 God, I
I
get
get
it.
it.
I'm not going to apply again. I don't want to know what you're going to
Oh,
do the third time. So I said, okay. So, but so there's things like that you go, okay, well, I'm never going to be a cop. All right, fine.
right, right.
But there's so many cool things out there on the horizon that you can do, And so
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. It doesn't make me sad in the least that I'm not doing that, because it's led me to this. So
Yeah. And now you get to share stories of people all over the world with the world who
right.
are overcoming other, invisible conditions as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's awesome. And I've had people on the show with every condition you can imagine. Stuff it's an education every single time. I mean, I have learned so much about so many things over the last 2+ years of doing this show and interviewing hundreds of people to be on the show and all the things. It's just baffling to me how many people are kicking butt and taking names despite something,
Yeah.
that I've never even heard of sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
it's
don't
been
doubt
it's
it.
been pretty awesome.
What has been kind of the most eye-opening experience in your time meeting all of these people? Has there been anything that's just like, ooh, I never, has anybody brought a new perspective to this to you?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's the perspective that I get constantly is that I it and I want to be careful the way I say this,
Okay.
because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but I feel like I have made it out so fortunate with
Mhm.
the outcomes of the surgeries and the environment that I've been surrounded in for so long with my parents and my wife and kids, and everybody in my life has been extremely supportive. I know that that's not everybody's situation.
Mhm.
And so I think what strikes me is the variance of environments that people find themselves in with these conditions, and not to mention just the environment and the support that they may get or may not get, but also the severity of the symptoms of that condition, and how maybe it landed them on disability, or maybe it landed them, like never able to, do the things they used to be able to do, whether that's work or, walk or
Yeah.
interact normally with society. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many conditions we've had on that are invisible from the outside, but really have wreaked havoc on
Yeah.
them, on their system, and on their
Yeah.
on their body. So I think that's probably the most eye-opening thing is, when it's your story, you don't really think it's a story, you
Yeah.
just kind of, launch and adjust, carry on, this is
Right.
life,
Right.
but you don't really have that perspective of anybody else. And so
Right.
talking to
Right.
all these people has been very eye-opening, and realize that and this is where I wanted to be careful, but I don't want to say this in any other light than I have found myself extremely fortunate, but it could always be worse. You know,
Mhm.
no matter what you're going through, there is always somebody else out there that has it rougher than you.
Right.
And so, it's taught me
Yeah.
a lot of lessons in being thankful,
Yeah.
honestly.
Oh,
So,
I have no doubt. I have no doubt. It's a kind of a tricky double-edged sword with there's always somebody that has it worse because it's true. But that also doesn't
always.
negate, whatever you're going through, whatever they're going through too. And,
No,
all our traumas, all our griefs are valid and things. But
right. Of
so
course.
if you were to meet somebody who is newly diagnosed with something, an invisible condition, as it were, what would you like? What's the one piece of advice you would give them, either from your personal story or things you've learned through your show?
I mean, I think I think I would just say, life doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. There's always hope.
I
You
love
know, you
that.
I don't care what diagnosis you have. I don't care what you've gone through. I don't care what it's your attitude is the only thing you have 100% control over. It's the
Hmm.
only thing. So if you want to have hope, you'll have hope. If you want to wallow and cry in your beer and complain about how much your life sucks, you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
But it's your choice. It's your choice. You don't have to. Life will never be perfect, but it doesn't have to be awesome. So it's
Oh my
just an
God.
attitude.
I love
So
that.
yeah.
That's you said that so beautifully. Like life doesn't have to be perfect to be beautiful. And I deal with with so many people who've experienced significant losses in their life, and they're not always all
Right.
death losses. And it's there's this feeling of like, well, I just want life to go back to normal, and it can't. There is no going back to the way it was before. And it's the same with, a diagnosis of a medical condition. There's no going back to that.
Well, it's a new normal,
It's
honestly.
exactly, and that's
It's
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 not a
your new
bad.
normal.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? It's
No,
just you just have to find the beauty in where you are now, and it's so hard when you've suffered a death loss of somebody close in your life because you're not going to get them back.
right.
They're not coming back, but to find that new you and that new spark and whatever it is that's going to be the beautiful thing in your life after them is a challenge, but it's so fulfilling when you get there.
I mean, I can definitely identify with that. Not a spouse or a child or anything like that, but my grandpa, my mom's dad,
Mhm.
and my mom's mom, grandma, is still thriving, man. She's 95 years old. I think she's going to outlive us all, honestly. But my grandpa Don, he passed away about 7 years ago at 90 years old. And he and I, like, I've always, my great grandparents, like, started having kids so young that I was able to know my grandparents, my great grandparents on both sides,
Oh,
like, for a
wow.
long time. And so my grandpa, my mom's dad, Grandpa Don, we were buddies, man. We were like best friends. And I started hanging out with him when I was like 4 years old. And I'd go over to his house every Friday night and spend the night and hang out. And he was a sign painter, like old school sign painter, like with by hand and stuff for
Oh,
like 50
wow.
years. So he was amazing. And so we would hang out in his shop and I would paint and he would paint, and, and so he would, but he passed away at 90, and it was rough. I mean, every time I saw something that reminded me of him, I would melt, for a
Oh,
couple of years after that. It was just
sure.
because we were so close, for
Yeah.
40 years. I was hanging out with him almost every day.
Yeah.
And so, but so you obviously that you grieve that loss, but you always have what you've had. You're never gonna lose that. You're never gonna get them back, but you're never gonna lose the time you had with them.
Yeah.
And same thing with invisible conditions. I probably I'll never play football, I'll never play soccer, I'll never be a cop. So yeah, I had to accept that and kind of grieve that loss of I'm never going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, look at what I've been able to do.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. And life is never going to go perfectly to plan, right?
right.
And like you said, nothing's ever going to be perfect. So
Yeah.
to have the grace to find the beauty within the icky parts. And I always
Right.
call it the icky bits. The
There
icky
you
bit
go.
is just a wonderful perspective.
Yeah. Pretty
Awesome.
cool. Well, and one thing that I don't know if this would have come up later or not, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm actually and this has something to do with my grandpa, so it'll come around.
Yeah.
But I after 5 seasons of Invisible Condition, we're gonna end up our five seasons in late September. And we've got like 7 or 8 spots left for the show, and that's it. And then we're gonna actually stop recording Invisible Condition, and
Really?
I'm going to start recording a new show called
Okay.
The Transformation Show. And
Ooh,
the tagline is always moving forward, because
love that.
you're always moving forward. I don't
Yeah.
care if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. Nobody wants that. So
Right.
the idea of the Transformation Show is to bring on people that are thriving in some area. We're not going to talk about the medical stuff as much. We're going to talk about, like, okay, business owners and entrepreneurs and celebrities and personalities and just people that are out there that are kicking butt and taking names in general. And how did they get there, and how did they transform to that? From here to there. What was the process? How did you have to do that? And so one of the things that we're going to do for that show is I've brought on a studio sponsor, which is really exciting. And one of the other things is I am creating those animated, like when you see a Mission Impossible movie or whatever, and it's
Mhm.
like Bad Robot, and the little robot runs back and forth, and then
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah, yeah,
logo,
yeah,
right, or
yeah.
Paramount with the stars, and then it
Uh-huh.
freezes. So I'm working on a couple of animated intros for the new show, and one of them is for the studio. It's going to be a certain, we're doing NRG Studios. We're partnering with Mike to sponsor the
Oh,
studio.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then the other one is a production company that I'm kind of calling my own, and it's going to be called Heimer Productions, and the Heimer. And the reason it's Heimer is because that was my grandpa's nickname for me growing up. So we're gonna create that, and I'm working on it with AI. And by the way, if anybody knows anything about AI and doing this kind of stuff, I would love your help, because what I want to do, I have a very clear visual of this, of him and me in the shop and painting and that kind of thing, and then zoom in on what we're working on, and it'll have the name of the thing. And it's anyway. So I'm working on that for the new show,
Oh, that's so
because I want to
cool.
pay tribute to him because he's such a big part of where I've landed. So
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah, you lose stuff, but you also gain stuff. The
Yeah.
transformation
Yeah.
show is going to be all about what I've gained and how far we've come, and all that stuff. So
That's
it's going to be fun.
fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. I love hearing stories like that. I'm a huge story nerd. Like part of what I love about what I do, I want to hear other people's stories. The
Yeah,
podcasts I listen to, the shows I watch, it's all just people telling their stories. I love it so much.
exactly.
So,
Exactly.
all right.
Love
So I
it.
have a little tradition at the end of my episodes
Okay.
where I pull a card from random at the death deck, which I forgot to get. So hold one moment, please.
Okay.
I'll edit this out. Future Nikki, edit that part out. Okay. So let me get my cards out here. All right. So I pull a card at random from the death deck, this is about half the deck. It's a bunch of conversation starter questions all about death and dying. And I will
Oh,
read the question, you will answer it, and then I will answer it because fair is fair. So
okay.
I would like to do it on camera so everybody knows I'm not cheating. Okay. Ooh, this is a great question. If you
Okay.
could find out the way, day, and time of your death, but could do nothing to stop it, would you want to know?
No.
No?
No. 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 No, not really. No, because I know who does know, and I trust him. So I'm not worried about it. And that's I
That's
don't
a
want to
heavy
know.
question.
Honestly, if you showed me that, I think it would be more terrifying than
Right.
comforting,
Right.
honestly. And that's why for those of you out there that know anything about the Bible, there's a verse in there about a lamp to your feet and a light to your path, right?
Uh-huh.
The word of God is a
Yep.
lamp to your feet and a light to your path,
Mhm.
not a 5,000 lumen flashlight to your path and a spotlight to your right. It's not meant to show you the next 5 years, 20 years, 50 years. It's to show you your next step, your next,
Mhm.
the next thing that you're supposed to do, because he knew as well as we do that we can't handle that much at once. So it's
Yeah.
next step, next step, next step. So
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to know that far in advance.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
So
I've toyed with this question before. I've been asked this question before, and
yeah.
overall I'm with you. I'd rather not know. That's a lot to know that, right?
Right.
And there's been some like sci-fi movies about that where like, oh, you can open this box and find out there's a new one that came out. I, like part of me thinks like, yeah, if I open it up and it says I was going to live to be 95, that's awesome because then I know I've got all that time. But what if it tells me I'm
Right.
going to die next week? Now I have that on my
Right.
head, right? And like you're going to get in a terrible car accident and die next week. I would rather not know that.
Right.
Right?
And so if you because you don't know because you don't know what the answer is going to be, it's
Right.
usually safer not to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
like that
would
movie. Did
rather
you ever Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I would really rather not know. And it in tandem with that question, as I've asked this question a lot, or people have broached this question about
Yeah.
would you rather die quickly or with like an extended death? Like, would you rather know your death is coming and you've got this much time, or would you rather have it be over instantly? And that's a hard question to answer too, right? Because I would love to have the time to say goodbye, wrap up all the loose ends, but knowing it's coming, like for me, I don't think I could handle it.
I don't know. See, for me, I don't let a day go by without
Mhm.
making sure everybody that I love knows that that's the case. I mean, I don't, if I had $1 for every time I told my wife or children that I love them during the day,
Mhm.
I'd probably be the richest man on the planet. It's a thing, and the kids know it too. And so they're in the habit of too. It's like they walk
Good.
out the door and it's like, love you, dad.
Yeah.
And so I, if I were to, drop right here, right now, I know for a fact that everybody that I love knows it, and that I've, with the ability that God gave me, I've done everything I can so far to do what He's asked me to do, and of course there's more to do, and that's why we want to stick around,
Sure.
because we always feel like there's more to do, and of
Sure.
course we selfishly want to hang out with our families,
Well,
but
yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I get asked a lot, like what I learn from the people I work with as a death doula. And
Mhm,
like, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. You never let your family go a day without telling them you love them. And
mhm,
I don't care if you're 18 years old. If you like, don't waste your time with holding grudges and any of that.
yeah,
Just, like, tell people how you feel about them. Keep the people you love close to you. Let go of the rest, right? Life is going to
right.
go by so fast. No matter how long it is, it's too short.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. It's like when my oldest daughter, who's she'll be 22 in September, uh, like where did that go? But when she was born, I remember my parents coming over to see, after we brought her home and all that stuff, and everybody came over, and my dad just looked at me. One of the first things he said, she was like 2 weeks old, and he looked at me, he goes, Jeff, don't blink, she'll be driving. I was like, ugh. It's true. Don't
It's true.
it's that song is there's a song out there. Don't I think it's Kenny Chesney, right? Or I think, is that what it is? It's a country song. Don't
Yeah,
blink. It's true.
it
It's
is.
true.
It
It
is.
happens so fast.
I
So
still have a vivid memory of holding my niece in the hospital the day she was born, and she's
yep.
expecting her first child any day now, or
Oh,
in a couple months.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah.
just like, where did all this time go? It's
I
crazy. It
know.
goes so quick.
It's nuts. I
All
mean,
right.
yeah.
So, Jeff, take the floor. I want you to tell my listeners where they can find you, your show, and all the things.
Awesome. Yeah. So you can find our show on, if you just search Invisible Condition, and I'm sure I'll have links that I'll give
Yeah,
Nikki that
there will
she'll
be
be able
links
to
in
put in
the.
there. Yeah, so you'll have easy ways to find it. Invisible Condition is the name of the show, and it's on every Tuesday and Friday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, and we air it on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, a Facebook page, and E360 TV. So all three of those every Tuesday and Friday, and so that's where you can find it. It's super easy. If you ever have any questions for me, or find that you have somebody that would be an amazing guest for this show or the next,
Right.
Invisible Condition at e360tv.com is a great way to reach me.
Awesome.
If you want to learn more about our nonprofit part of our show, which is called Hydro with Hope, that helps people with the condition I was born with, that's Jeff at hydrowithhope.com. Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's about it.
Awesome. I'll put all the links to that too in the description so you don't have to try to write all that down real fast. You can just click away,
Right? Yeah.
get right to Jeff.
Thank you.
So, Jeff, thank you so much for your time today. This was amazing. I love this. You and I've had multiple conversations already. I just enjoy talking to you
Right?
regardless. So, this was
Yeah,
great.
this is awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I can't wait to have you on the show, and
Yeah.
it's coming up. I think we're recording like this week.
Tomorrow
So
or
is it
Wednesday? I don't
tomorrow?
know.
Tomorrow, the next day? I know.
No, I think it's
So
Wednesday.
yeah.
Either way, it's coming
So
up.
bring it on, man. It's quick.
Yeah.
It's coming quick, and then people can watch in July. So
Awesome.
right on. Thank you
Sounds
so
great.
much.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Thank you again so much to Jeff for sharing your story. We had such a great, I swear, he and I could talk for hours on end. We had a 30-minute meeting and we blew through that, and we had to have a second meeting after that. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it was so lovely chatting to Jeff. Thank you again for sharing your story and giving your time to this show to help somebody else out there feel a little less alone. If you'd like to connect with Jeff or watch his show, I've got links in the description below. Please go check all those out. And again, if you want merch, nikkithedeathdoula.com/podcast, patreon.com/nikkithedeathdoula will get you early access to the show and will support me. But if you don't want to do any of that, that's okay. but maybe you can leave a little 5-star rating and write a quick review on Apple Podcasts, because that's how more people can find me. Yay! And this little love passion project of mine is more meaningful if I can share it with more people. So that is all. Thank you again so much for tuning in this week. And remember, as always, your grief is yours. Your feelings are valid. Grief doesn't always have to suck. Good Grief with Nikki the Death Doula is produced by Nikki Smith of Nikki the Death Doula LLC in Columbus, Ohio. Nikki the Death Doula LLC is for consulting, education, emotional support, and guidance, and is no way considered a funeral establishment or licensed mental health establishment. Scripts, editing, sound design, literally everything with this podcast is done solely by Nikki Smith of Nikki the Death Doula LLC, with the exception of the music. The music is Cheery Monday by Kevin MacLeod. Licensing information can be found at filmmusic.io.